Okay, so I'm assuming that you're watching this video because you're either dreaming of moving to London and are really curious of what it's about, or maybe you've got the plans in place and in months or weeks to come you're gonna arrive in London. You probably have some questions. Maybe you don't have anywhere to live, maybe you don't have any friends yet, or a job, or any idea of what London has to offer. So if you want a bit of a better understanding of the positives, negatives, personal tips from a big sister, of someone who lived in London for 4 years, just keep watching. So I've written down some notes on my phone, but while I'm getting that up, a bit of a background to me and why I'm even credible to make this video. My name is Mia, and I make really random YouTube videos about tattoos, living in London, moving to Portugal, lip fillers, vlogs, you name it. And this was something that was on my mind recently because I lived in London for around 4 years and I just moved from London to Portugal because I got to the stage where I had enough. And I've had a lot of friends that are also in similar places and kind of going through those motions at the moment, or have already left. But also, there's a lot of people that are still there that fucking love London. Again, it's gonna be something I'm gonna talk about, but it's either really, really for people or it isn't. Or it's just a stage of your life, and that's what it was for me. You're gonna be surrounded by so many like-minded people. I think especially if you're gonna look at career opportunities, most companies that you can think of will have their headquarters based out of London. So whatever sort of field that you're working in, there's going to be some really, really exciting names and brands and organizations that you could be a part of, as well as a lot of like tech startup scale-up businesses, because I think they're also going to be a lot more open to having people come in that maybe don't have the right experience or don't have any experience at all, because I think those are the kind of environments where, especially in London, people are willing to take a chance on someone that just has like a great personality or some really good drive. That's career, but I think on the flip side, you're gonna have like the most incredible life experiences actually learning from people that are just so creative, so intelligent. Maybe you're in your 20s and you're moving to a big city for the first time, or you're moving country and you have no connections. There's gonna be a lot of people that are around your age, like on this path, don't really know what to do with their lives, just looking to make some like really nice connections. And I've only noticed this after leaving London, but there's even Instagram or Facebook groups where you can go and do like I think it was called Lonely Girls Walk. So you literally just go on a Sunday or something and grab a coffee and you walk with a group of like 20, 30 people and just like meet people and make friends and have conversations and feel less lonely, because I think there's a lot of people out there that talk about how lonely London is, and I was always someone to just completely disagree with that, because I think it definitely depends again on your personality and how you operate, but it can be lonely if you don't make an effort, to be blunt. You have to put yourself out. You have to go and do really uncomfortable things in order to actually make friends. So this is such a simple one, but the transport is great. Regardless of where you're living, either east, south, west, north, you're gonna have the underground, you'll have overgrounds, you'll have buses, and in my opinion the buses are actually my favourite because they're the cheapest. I think it's like £1.50 for one trip, which is so cheap. And you're also overground, like you can see where you're going. It's usually less crowded and most of the time you're gonna have a seat. So for me that feels like a bit of a relaxing commute into the city. Undergrounds are great, they usually come every like 3-4 minutes. So if you're running late, you know that there is another train coming, but rush hour, coming home from work, they're so full. Like you can honestly be crammed in. Like, I hate this phrase, like a sardine, but it's so true. Like, you have to actually push in and physically, like, if you have like, what's that term called? If you're not good with like confined spaces, the underground is not going to be for you. But the overground is great. The overground runs in certain places and it's like the tube, but it's just literally overground and it's a lot wider. Gyms, classes, workout studios, like this is something that I'm missing so much being in Portugal. Like everywhere you go there's some incredible studios, and I used ClassPass in London. Every so often they just do it where you can have like a free month, and we'd cancel it after, but you basically get like so many classes, so many spin classes, Pilates, yoga. It makes me excited thinking about it because going to London you have so many options. If you like yoga, there's a Hot Pod Yoga, which is the brand, but they're scattered around London. I think a lot of the more bougier, like yummy mummy clean girl gyms, they can be quite expensive. Pure Gym, The Gym, Fitness First, they're all great gyms and they're not hugely expensive, and because they're like pretty much everywhere, you should hopefully have a gym within a 15-minute walking distance from you, I would say at the absolute maximum. Nightlife, again, it's another basic, but there is some incredible venues in London. There was recently a new Drum Sheds, which I haven't been to yet, but I've heard really good reviews. But if you look on Resident Advisor, every Saturday, Friday, Saturday, you're gonna have an amazing event. One of my favorite clubs is called Xoxo, which is in Camden. Like, look it up, the vibe is just so good, and they've got really good DJs and just random events that they'll host. But Resident Advisor will be your best friend. It doesn't matter what kind of music or like social event that you'll be looking for, there is going to be something for you. I think that's also a slight downside to London. There's so much to do that you almost get into the routine of doing things all the time. So then it's a little bit hard, I say a little bit, it's really hard to save money. It's really hard to say no to things. It's really hard to just be bored. Markets and places to thrift, which just makes me so excited. Like, I loved my thrifting era in London. Like, it's honestly incredible. I used to live in East London, and on Brick Lane they've got the best stalls, and one of my favorite stalls was on the corner of where a coffee shop is, and they have incredible motorbike jackets which were all 69 euros or pounds. There's a big market that's underground, which is kind of like pop-up shops, so it's a little more pricier, but it's still unreal. Like, you can find such cool things. There's always car boot sales in Peckham, Dalston, there's so many more, but I've seen loads of videos of people getting like the craziest things at like such good prices. Vinted is really popular in London, and most things that you're gonna find on Vinted are gonna be cheap. If you're a single girl, you are gonna have the most incredible choices for dating. And I obviously had my single moments in London, which was super fun, but Hinge is really popular in London. I think, in my opinion, it's such a fun app. And yeah, you can end up making like even really cool friendships from things like this. The dating scene is definitely it. I obviously haven't been single for a while, so I don't know if I can give you like up-to-date advice. I don't really even want to talk about food, but I kind of have to. Food is insane. Every single restaurant is so good. Especially if you kind of want to have like almost like the Michelin like 5-star restaurant vibe without paying for it. Places like Manteca, Brat, Smoking Goat, oh, like there is the nicest restaurants. I'm gonna put a list below of my top 10 favorite restaurants, but restaurants, cafes, like food markets, bars, there is just such a good selection, and that kind of ties into like the events and going out and stuff. If you're not going out and going to a party, you're gonna have a Sunday where you're thrifting, you're getting coffee, you're getting food, like you're never gonna be bored, but you're gonna be spending so much money. And I would say with food, like it's not incredibly expensive. I've come from Ireland, and I would say it's kind of similar prices to like Galway, Dublin. Now I'm living in Portugal, but I'm living in a bit of like a bougier, posher area in Lisbon, and it's similar prices to London. So I think it felt pretty standard for me, but maybe if you're comparing it to the US, it's probably gonna feel cheaper. Like a coffee, like a oat flat white is like $3.50. If you're paying $4, that's way too much. Okay, so there's obviously more positives, but I'm gonna talk about some negatives because that is the main reason of doing this video. Like, obviously everybody looks at London and sees the magic, or goes and has like a weekend there and is like in love, like London, you have my heart. It's not always realistic. Like, it's really not. I've heard stories of people moving to London and leaving after 4 or 5 months because it's so overwhelming, it's so busy, everyone is rushing. This success mindset of like climbing the career ladder, rushing, like being like work, work, work. And it's kind of just a bit gross sometimes. Now, summer in London is amazing, and that should have been in my positives list because it's so hot in London in the summer. Having drinks and a pizza in the park. Yeah, summer is amazing. Weather is great. Winter is so cold. And I've come from Ireland, which I thought was cold, but my first year in London, I was shocked. I thought it was freezing. Like, you have to layer up, like so many layers. And I would say that that's a downside to living in the city, especially if you're used to living in like a warmer climate. Like, even just a little bit in the morning of like being outside, being in fresh air, having some sun on my skin, I know that that kind of almost sets me up for the day. I kind of touched on this one, but the expense of living there is just insane. Like, I'm 24 years old, have just moved out of London, and I don't have any savings. I'm just gonna be open and transparent with you. I just don't. I work in a job where I have pretty decent money. I read this on an article recently that I think salary-wise, someone needs to be earning minimum of £34,000 per year to be able to enjoy and, well, live comfortably. When I first started in the career that I'm doing, when I first moved, my salary was $22,000 a year, which was like nothing. But it also felt normal to me because I was willing to take anything to get an opportunity to live in London and have this life experience. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that you need to think about how much you need to actually survive and to save if you can, because this is coming from someone that hasn't saved. Even if you can save like 10 a week or a month, you're doing better than me. Food and everything, yes, it's not majorly expensive, but if you're doing it all the time and going out, having drinks, seeing friends, going to the cinema, traveling, then that's obviously all gonna eventually pile up. And then you also have to think about the different change in seasons. It gets to winter, you're freezing, you have to buy a new winter coat and a scarf and a hat and new boots. So like, there's always expenses, which I think can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming. The main things that you're gonna find is rent is so expensive right now, as well as bills like council tax, electricity, Wi-Fi, energy, like everything is just like a big investment. So there's a lot to consider in terms of like how much money you're actually going to need to come in and how much you can consume life-wise. Again, like I kind of mentioned this, but I think there's a massive pressure element with London, especially if like you're someone that's like working within like a creative space. You're going to be surrounded by people that are so much younger than you and so much more successful than you. So at all points, you're just questioning your abilities, your skills, what you're doing with your life. So with the transport, it's funny because it's so good. Tubes and undergrounds all the time, but then you kind of like become this person that is like used to having things at your doorstep, ready to go straight away. So almost when you're late and the tubes are delayed or they're full and you can't get on, your day is crumbling apart already and it's not even 8 a.m. yet. So it can be really, really stressful. Like, there's so many strikes. I don't know why, like it's crazy. There's honestly a strike probably once a week, which means that you won't be able to get a train. The good thing is that if you are living in the city, it's not normally affected by the underground tube, so it's normally okay for you to get into work. And you'll also notice that everybody just rushes in London, like it's like go, 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 go. That you automatically pick up this walk where like you're running, like you're not running, but you're running to just get a coffee. Like, it's so stressful and it's so unnecessary. Like, coming to Portugal, I kind of realized that I was still doing it and I was almost like cringing, like embarrassed at myself. Also, another massive thing with London is it's really strange to like talk to people on the street or in public, and you'll just get used to it. Like, you can't smile at people or say good morning or how are you, like maybe in your local coffee shop when they get to know you. So you'll notice on the tubes and like on the buses, everyone is just on their phones, maybe reading a book and like not looking at anyone. It's just a normal thing. And probably one of the bigger negatives for me, in all honesty, was the safety, sadly. I have lived in different areas in London. I lived in West, in Ealing. I lived in Shoreditch in East London, which was my favourite. And then recently, before I came to Portugal, I lived in Southwest. All areas were fine. I never had any issues, apart from getting my phone stolen out of my hand, which seems intense, but when you compare it to like the things that you obviously hear about London and what can happen, it seems, yeah, it's super minor. Like there's a lot of police and alarms and sirens going off at all times. It's all super unpredictable, and I think that was like a really, really terrifying element of being in London for me, especially getting older, and like I'm really getting to the point where like I enjoy life, and seeing all these really upsetting and horrible things in London, it just really made me worried, and I just kind of would panic if I was going to go to certain places or be out late at night, especially by myself. It's really, really sad that women have to think about, but it's so true, because there are so many crazy people in London, and I say that in the kindest way, but it's just a sad truth. Obviously they're like all super different, and everyone is gonna have a different opinion to mine, and that's absolutely fine, but I'm just giving you the kind of advice that I would give to my best friend, in all honesty. So some little tips that I put down on my phone that I think you can implement into like your normal daily routine. They're super small, but I think living in London, things can be a bit overwhelming at times, but I'm hoping that these little things can maybe help you with the day-to-day slaying. Because like it makes me excited. Like I was looking back on videos of myself, and me being in London was like my best days. Like I've got so many cool photos and videos, I've made so many amazing friends, I've met Joe, my boyfriend and future husband, in London. But yeah, you're literally gonna have like the best days ever. It's so exciting. Micro tips by Mia. Prepping your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner. Dinner might be a bit of a stretch, but breakfast and lunch. You're saving money, and you're also gonna feel so much better for it. I don't care if you're a reader or not. Bring a book on the tube. Everyone is on their phones, so you have to just do something for yourself which is gonna keep you calm, ready for your day. So either bring a book. For me, it actually forced me to get into reading, or like I said, download a podcast, listen to a book instead of reading, bring a notebook, draw something, get your outfit ready the night before you go to work. For me, this is something that I can really spiral about. So whatever your vibe is, it can be different every day. Try and be organized. Know if you need to like wash your clothes ahead of time. You're definitely gonna find loads of affordable things, maybe even free things that you can do, like museums or cheap yoga classes, like say if like someone's like learning, or do like outdoor workouts in the summer, or when you have some friends, bring them all around to your house and paint some mugs. Do something cute where you can all like come together. What me and my friends used to do was like a kind of cooking thing that we would share. Each week we would go to each other's houses and we would do a 3-course dinner, but each one of us would prepare like the starter, the main and the dessert. And we're also eating in, which saves a lot of money, but I thought it was also just super wholesome and cute just to like spend one-on-one time with your friends. To do a highlight of the week or your win of the week at the end of like a Friday or a Sunday, or even kind of do like a bit of an intention for the following week, because I think it's just gonna make you feel a bit more present, grateful for what you've done that week. Even like little things, applying to 5 jobs, or going for a walk every day, or preparing my meals 5 days out of the 7 days. Like stuff like that you should actually be proud of, because I think it is really, really tough to remain in routine in London. So try and do little activities where it's just gonna remind you to just promote and make yourself feel better. So that's it from me. I don't know if this is helpful. Let me know if it is. If you have any questions, put them in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. If there's more, I can definitely do another video, but for me, this was just something that I thought was in my brain and stuff that I thought was important to mention. But if you have like physical, like very specific questions, go ahead. If you're moving to London soon, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Like, you honestly will love it and it will be amazing. It is just a lot to process. So be mindful, be wise, but you've got this. Sending you so much love, hugs and kisses, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye.